Here are three things on the art of memory from Francis Yates' book, The Art of Memory. Or alternative title would be Giordano Bruno is fucking crazy. So, item number one from this lovely history of memory palaces has a big focus on our hero, Giordano Bruno. The first one is, it's an anecdote about a young man, and he was trying to memorize the physics of Aristotle and how they work. And this was such an important thing in Renaissance time. Aristotle was such an overwhelming thought leader, and you needed to know his stuff. And what this young man would do is he would draw little stick figures on the wall, and using just these really simple stick figures, he could memorize the entire order of what Aristotle was saying in his physics. And for me, that's really helpful because sometimes I know my memory isn't sharp, but I just have to glance at this wall and there it all is, and it comes flooding back. And so it's helpful to know that drawing stuff out can be a big help. I know for my I Ching memory palace, I'm making the simplest little index cards of these complex things, and it helps just to make those little symbols on there. The other thing that Bruno did that's really funny is when he left London, where he was fighting with the intellectuals there, and got to Paris, where he started fighting with the Aristotelians there, during a time of, like, the king was about to be deposed. I mean, Europe was just, his time was so violent. We think things are bad now. It's nothing like what you were seeing then. And he was fighting with these followers of Aristotle, and so he wrote a book called The Figurations, the 30 Figurations, about how to memorize Aristotle, which is curious because he was saying how Aristotle was the dumbest of the old philosophers. And it turns out that what this book really was showing how you could use a memory palace to memorize things. And so really it was a way to make fun of Aristotle by writing a book about him, showing that you don't need him. These memory palaces make the ideas flow through you, which I thought was really good. And then finally, the thing that I think makes him just, last night I'd gone to the basement, I came upstairs and read this, I'm like, Bruno is just nuts. Because in his book, The 30 Statues, which I'm currently going through in this great edition from Black Letter Press, Dame Francis Yates talks about how the 30 statues, they weren't just supposed to be the 30 ideas of, like, the flows of the universe. He was trying to combine this with Raymond Lull, who had a 3 rings with different letters on them, and he would spin these rings to make a memory palace. Bruno had that, but he had it with letters. He was going to do that. He was using this 30 statues to do that with images instead. So he would have 90 different images on the 3 wheels that he could spin, and each of those different combinations would be a different thing he would be memorizing. It's just